All right, gang, it's Hexy. Let's wrap up the first Battle of Manassas, first Bull Run. The day was ours, Revolution Games, Matt Ward's design. So this was fun. I had a blast with this, and you can see all the little pretty yellow counters that you see there. That's all the damage that it's been like consistent every turn since the lull ended. So I really went after this thing really hard. I was pushing hard with the Union, but every time they get up there, and I'm going to pull this here. This is Robinson House, so the Union owns that. And the Confederates actually attacked on the last one, trying to throw them out of there and take it, but they couldn't get them out of there. So it was back and forth here. Union would move forward. They'd get chased off. They'd attack again, chase the Confederates off. The Confederates would return counterattack, chase them off. And if this game had gone, I think, any longer, over here, Early was about here. He kept getting stunted in his movements because other chits the way they fell and everything. But Bonham just drove the Union off here, and they would probably continued on down here to the Stone Bridge. So, I don't know. It's. I'm sure it's not exactly how things happen, but I don't know. A couple more turns, it might have gotten there. So, with the Confederates stunting this flank over here, and then the Union scattering back across the bridge, and the Confederates trying to drive to it. So this game, I played it in 3 bursts. There was no getting bored with it, no delays in playing it. Every turn went smoothly. The chits that they have, the event chits they have in the game, make you really, it can change decisions and make you think about how things are going to happen. I tell you, one of the best chits in the game, I think, for this one was the superior artillery for the Union, because then you could have. I had this battery of Arnold, sitting on this hill right here, and this other gun from Ricketts sitting right here. Every time that superior artillery came up, that stacked hex right there was just devastating the Confederate line. And I'm telling you, I think I said it in the last video, I rolled more 50s and ups. I don't know how many 66s, 63s, 62s that I rolled in this game, but it was unbelievable amounts. So how did this thing end up? Well, here's how it ended up. Take a look at the chart over here. See all the casualties there. That's probably what hurt the Union the most. Is I was able to get one back on the board. I think even the Confederates got one back on the board. But it ended up with victory points in favor of the Confederates. A 5-point victory. So, and it kept going up and down that chart. It would flip over to the Union side, flip over to the Confederate side. And had it not been for all these sitting here, that would have been a Union, I think, 3 or 4-point victory, which means they would have won. So, and how that functioned I'm sure those of you who played it, So, there's 3 victory point hexes, one here, there's one here and one here, I think, or one here, and one there. And they got 1 point every turn for that. You got the exit hex over here, which the Confederates maintained. I don't know why I never moved anybody over there for the Union to take it, because that would have been another point. The Stone Bridge, once the Union took control of that, the Confederates didn't get any victory points for that. Robinson House changed hands 4 times since the lull. Henry House changed hands twice, and it ended up in Confederate hands. And Robinson House almost ended up back in Confederate hands, but all of this jumbo mumbo here could not dislodge that unit from Franklin. And as you can see, that's the 1st Minnesota. Does that name sound familiar? Think about Gettysburg in the 1st Minnesota. I'm sure that's the same unit, but they were tough and they stood their ground there on Henry. They actually got chased off. Somebody got chased off, and then they advanced and attacked, drove into the woods, and then they got chased out of the woods back to the Henry House. And they held their ground, or Robinson House, and they held their ground right there. So 5-point Confederate victory, which means they win it here. And if you have one of these, get them out and play it. These games they're like I say, they're easy to moderate. It's got a great core rule set. The scenario rules they're not overburdening. They've got some good rules in there. Like I say, I did chuck a few out for this one here, but I don't think it had any effect now because you got to get to the commander's die roll. So when you activate, you've got to roll against your commanders the division commander or overall commander or whatever it may be at the time, that little number he's got there, you got to roll. And if you don't, if you got to roll equal to or less than that, and if you do, then you can issue one of the 4 order types to whatever brigade you're activating. All right. But there may be chits that the opponent has that may change what you actually do. If you roll greater than that, then the brigade that you're going to activate, all they can do is a limited activation, which means they're pretty much going to fire if there's something they can fire at, and they're not going to do anything else. But you've got attack, you've got defend, you've got maneuver, and you've got, what's the last one? Recovery or something like that? Regroup. And believe me, when a brigade gets tore up, you use regroup. You can use regroup quite a bit, all right? Because you're not going to recover anybody when they're in attack mode, all right? Maneuver's your big move one. Infantry in this game here, I think, had a movement point of like 9 when they're in maneuver. Of course, like a lot of games, you got to stay away from the enemy. So many hexes, I think it's 2 hexes or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, Early never got into the fight. Elzey, we would give Elzey a hero's medal because when the Union first took Henry House, it was Elzey's brigade that arrived on time, not Jackson, but Elzey that went and chased him out. As you see, it was Jackson trying to chase them off of Henry. Now, Jackson, I will say, his first attack, he did push the Union back when they were here. And then Elzey came up and drove, when the Union took Henry House, the Elzey's brigade came up and took him off. B, he got rattled pretty good, was chased back, and he actually just now got back into line in this last turn or two. Bartow, his one lone regiment that was left, never could rebuild him, but he did his job. He applied some fire, flipped these guys. Like I said, a lot of shaking and a couple disrupteds on here, but the king of this battlefield was probably, because of the die rolls for both sides, would be the artillery. The most impressive one, like I say, was this stack here with Arnold and Ricketts. Hampton's Legion, South Carolina boys over here, they held this point in this area for pretty much the entire game until the last turn. I had to move them back to try. I wanted to try to get in here and get Franklin out of that hex, get that first Minnesota out of there. And other than that, the game played really, really good. So you got it. The day was ours. This one came out along with the Wilson's Creek one. Well worth playing. Great system, great design, great maps, great counters to look at. And the fact that your really only info counters are these shaken on one side or disrupted on the other, this is awesome. Combat charts are great. The cohesion test charts are great. The turn record track and the broken track works really well. And a victory point track on the chart over there. All right. It's Hexy. First bull run. Confederate victory. Even if I had applied the... Well, actually, I take that. Well, if I'd applied the +3 that I was talking about from the Blackburn's Ford game, this would have been a 2-point Confederate victory. So it wouldn't have been a victory at all. It would have been a draw. All right, there you have it. The day was ours. Revolution Games 2021. Game over. Let's get this posted so y'all can see what happened. Talk to you soon.